Welcome participants in this new session, and in this session we will talk about some other concepts of organizational behavior, and we will talk about perception. In the last session we were talking about organizational culture. So far we have taken up different concepts, and now gradually we are moving towards the individual phenomena, and among them perception is very first. So, if we talk about perception, this is a cognitive process, this is a mental process. Before we understand the perception, we need to understand the mental or cognitive process. And if we want to understand the mental or cognitive process, we need to understand the difference between brain and mind. There are two concepts, one is physical and other one is conceptual. Brain is something physical, whereas mind is a conceptual concept. Brain is a physical organ kept in the skull of a human body, and its function is to regulate, control the human body. Whatever various activities, including the virtual activities, are going on in the body, all these activities are being regulated, controlled, initiated by the brain, and these activities may be both the physical as well as virtual. So, the virtual functioning of brain is mind, and its processes are the mental processes. So, now let us start which particular process is considered as the very first mental process, and the very first mental process is sensation. Sensation means the living beings or the organisms can sense their selves as well as the environment. In this world there can be only two things, organism and the environment. For me, I am a human being, I am an organism. Organism means a living being. I am an organism, and the rest everything in this universe is my environment, which includes the whole earth. So, for me, I am the organism, all you and rest everything available in this universe is my environment. So, if I am surviving, then my survival is possible by means of certain senses. So, human beings have got number of senses, among them there are 5 major senses, and the process of sensation happens as a result of stimuli. Stimuli may be from within and from the environment. Example for stimuli from within is hunger, thirst, desire of sex, and pain, pleasure, all these are the stimuli. Now, stimuli from environment, if someone is calling you, if the temperature of this room declining, then that will act as a stimuli, and that stimuli will give you the feeling of sensation, or sensation can be received through the major senses. And once sensation is received, then the next process is interpreting or giving meaning to it. So, this is known as perception. The process of giving meaning, understanding or interpretation of a sensation created by a stimuli is the process of perception. So, this is meaning, or this is definition of perception. If we go through the other definitions given by different authors, and one of very good definition given by Stephen P. Robbins, perception may be defined as a process by which individuals organize and interpret their sensory impression in order to give meaning to their environment. So, as we were talking, if we go through this definition, it is a process, and in the process there are basic 2 or 3 things. Number 1, organization of the sensation, then its interpretation, and then taking meaning out of it. So, perception involves three basic elements of process. Number one, organization of the sensation and then interpreting it. Example, suppose a very black kind and very big size thing is coming from a distant place and you are trying to visualize it, what it is, whether it is a train or what it is. Actually, the sensations are coming through your eyes and you are trying to organize. You will observe it, you will concentrate on it and you will try to focus on that stimuli and then you will organize, and after organization you will interpret, and then lastly you could understand that a train engine is coming towards you. So, this is the process of perception and explained by Stephen P. Robinson. Second definition given by Joseph, and the definition is perception includes all those processes by which an individual receives information. According to Joseph, it is process of receiving the information. That reception is through the sensations, receiving the information about self and environment and then interpreting it is process of perception, and this is possible through, according to Joseph, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting and smelling. One more definition, that definition is given by Luthans, and definition is perception is an important meditative cognitive process through which person make interpretations of stimuli or situation they are faced with. So, according to Luthans, it is meditative. Why word meditative? Because there is need to concentrate, focus and then understand. What we do in the meditation? In meditation, we concentrate and focus and then we try to understand that phenomena. So, it is a meditative kind of cognitive process, and this process is for interpretation of stimuli to which organism, individual or human being is exposed. So, these are some of the definitions of organizational behavior. Now, we will talk about what is role of perception in organizational behavior, or in other words, why we should try to understand perception in the organizational behavior. And this can be understood by understanding that perception is a phenomena, perception is a process which helps us to give meaning to this world. And when we are working in the organization, that organization is our environment, that organization is our world, and now how this world has been given meaning, and as a result of that meaning, how we are understanding the organizational world, and that understanding will result into our actions, behaviors, working, assignments, accomplishment and everything. So, how I am understanding my organization, how I am understanding my people working with me, how I am understanding my infrastructure, how I am understanding the organizational culture, that will have a direct impact on my working, and my working will help the organization to attain its goals. So, perception is a very important element in the organizational working. Now, we have understood the concept and its importance. Now, what is process of perception? How people perceive and why it is necessary to understand it into the organizational behavior. If we will understand how people perceive, then what kind of perception is necessary for the accomplishment of a particular organizational activity, job or assignment, then it can be made easy how people behavior can be modified by deliberately working on the perception of people for the attainment of organizational goal. So, the perception process involves number of sub processes, and among them the very first factor is stimuli and sensation. When we were trying to understand the meaning of perception, then I told that it is a mental process, and being a mental process, it always originates from the stimuli, and that stimuli will create the sensation, and then how that sensation has been interpreted, that will give us meaning, and on the basis of that meaning our actions and reactions will be decided, and it can be understood very easily. In the night, a person was sleeping in the dark room, very dim light was there, and he got up in the midnight, and the semi slept condition, he looked towards the floor, and there was something in the curling form lying on the ground. Because light was not enough, complete sensation was, or complete shape of sense could not reach to the people. So, this person started interpreting it, and the thought started coming whether it is a snake or what it is. Then ultimately, because of this inappropriate sensation, this man shouted and called someone from outside, and the person came inside and opened the door and switched on the light, and as and when light was switched on, it was found that it was not a snake, rather it was a black tie lying on the floor. So, that kind of impact can be generated if perception is not correct, if sensation is not interpreted and understood exactly, that can give any meaning. And specifically when we are interacting with people in organization, when we are interacting with infrastructure, then sometimes our this stimulation effect is not appropriate, and as a result of that there may be problem in the perception. The next element of perception is attention. One of the definition given by Luthans, that perception is a meditative cognitive process, and in the process of perception, the next step is attention. Without concentration, attention and focusing, attention, concentration and focusing on the stimuli and the sensation created by it, if we are not fully attentive, attentive means concentrated and focused on that particular stimuli and its feeling, then the perception cannot be completed. So, attention is considered as one of the major factor of that. Then once stimulus has completely given the sensation, and with complete attention, sensation has been understood and interpreted, then the meaning or recognition of that particular stimuli or sensation has been taken, and in that next step is translation. With our existing knowledge, now we will try to translate the new sensation and the impact given by the stimuli, and this translation then will motivate us to act accordingly. That is behavior. The next element in perception, or next factor or next sub process of perception is behavior. After the impact of stimulus, sensation is generated, sensation was attended attentively, understood, and then it was exactly recognized, felt, and then it was interpreted and translated, and as a result of that, now the organism, individual or employee is ready to behave accordingly. So, next part is behavior, and that behavior will result into performance, and once individual has performed, it will bring satisfaction. So, this is complete process of perception, which involves the very first stimulus, stimuli, its excitement, and then attention on it, and the sensation generated by it, then recognition by complete attention, and then interpretation or translating it, and once it is done, then behaving accordingly, and that behavior will result into performance, and once it is performed in the organization, that will result into satisfaction. So, here the complete concept of perception and its processes with example explained. Now, we will talk about nature of perception in organizational behavior. If we talk about perception in sociology, perception in psychology, perception among other disciplines, its meaning is different. But why? What should be the nature of perception in organizational behavior? There are certain characteristics. Nature means sum total of all the characteristics that we will try to understand. And the very first characteristic is perception is the process by which person gives meaning to the environment. What is happening in my environment? Not only in the environment, what is happening within me, whether I am happy or not, is there any pain to me or not, whether I am hungry or I have taken food, whether I am thirsty or what it is. This is from within. Not only that, what is happening in my environment, that is possible as a result of perception only. The next characteristic is people's actions, feelings, thoughts and emotions are driven by their perception. As I told you that this result of perception gives you meaning what this world is, and as a result of that we act or react by feeling it, by developing the thoughts about it and by expressing the emotions. So, whether we are acting, we are feeling, we are thinking, we are expressing our emotions, all that is as a result of emotions, all that is as a result of perception. The next characteristic is perception has been defined in the various ways. Basically, it is experience of person about the world, and next characteristic is it works with the same way within each individual, yet usually produces different perception. The incidence, the stimuli may be same and it might be creating the same sensation, but the perception may be different. So, different people can take different perception, and the reason for that is there are certain phenomena which can affect the perception of people that we will discuss later on. Then next is we will discuss about certain factors which can influence the perception, which can have impact on the perception, and the very first factor in that is characteristics of perceiver. And characteristics of perceiver means what needs and motives, what self concept, what beliefs, what past experiences, what current psychological state, what expectations and what attitude an individual is having. What type of attitude I am having, what are my expectations, and through what kind of present mental and psychological states I am passing, and what experience I have acquired during the past, and as a result of all that, what beliefs I am having about this world, and what is my concept about myself, that is self concept, and as a result of that what type of needs and motives I have. All these factors will have impact on the perception process. Not only that, the other factors which can affect is characteristics of perceived or target or object, what we are perceiving, or in other words the stimuli itself, what is that, that will also have impact on the perception. And in that, the factors are physical appearance or size. What is size of a particular thing? Let us take example of a very small grape and a very large grape. Our attention will go on a very large, which is beyond the size of the average grape size, or if it is very small. So, how a target, how an object, how a subject is appearing before the perceiver, that target is also reason for the impact on the perception. Next is intensity, how frequently it is happening or how frequently something is happening is also reason for impact on the perception of the perceiver. And next one is the frequency, status and contrast. If there is contrast, there is one red apple and other one is a black apple, or there is contrast in that. So, all these factors will, and these factors are the characteristics of target. So, characteristics of perceiver, characteristics of target, and yes, of course, characteristics of situation. A red apple kept in a deep yellow light, yes, perception will be different, the color will change. So, these three major factors related to characteristics of perceiver, target and situation will have impact on perception. And not only that, when individuals look at a target and attempts to interpret, that will also have impact on this. So, these are the perceptual factors which can have impact on the perception. Now, the next topic we will take up is perceptual selectivity. If we see in this world, lot many things are happening simultaneously. Here the process of this recording is going on, and with this other activities are also going on. So, what I am selecting, or there are various factors which will bound me to select. So, what are those factors? We will try to understand that, and in that the factors are intensity, with what intensity something is happening, repetition, novelty and difference and motion. If something is static, but the similar thing is in motion with respect to that, or there is difference with respect to color or any physical characteristic, or something is very new and something is very familiar. In a crowd of people, if there is one strange person, then our attention will go to that. Repetition, repeatedly something is happening. So, these are factors which will attract the attention of person, and as a result of that the perception will be selected. And not only that, in this the self concept, belief, expectations, internal requirement, yes, internal requirement also. If someone is in need of food, then at that time whatever would be the importance of work, person will not pay much attention to that. Person's perception would be involved in finding the food, and how the environment was responding, what kind of defense mechanism is available. All these factors will also affect the perceptual selectivity. Perceptual selectivity means to what we will select. Now, the next concept in the perception which is necessary to understand to practice it in the organizational behavior is managerial implication of the perception. or in other words, why we must study perception in organizational behavior, how perception will help managers to enhance the productivity, effectiveness, efficiency and attainment of organizational goal, or how deliberately by manipulating the perceptual factors the organization can help employees to attain their goals and to enhance their productivities. So, for those factors the perception is understood, and among them the very first one is interpersonal working relationships. Yes, what is my perception about my boss and how I am developing the interaction with my peer group with a typical kind of perception, and yes, with my juniors also. So, the perceptual process will affect the interpersonal relationship in the organizational working. And then next is staff selection. What kind of perception we have for the organization and what type of perception we have about the people working with it. And next is the performance appraisal. Yes, because we are working with people and daily we are perceiving them, and as a result of that we try to make a permanent perception, and that perception will necessarily affect the performance appraisal and level of effort contributed by the employees. That will also have implication in the managerial implementation. Loyalty is also one of the factor. So, these are some of the factors which will have in practicing the management function in the organization. So, with this we will conclude this session, and I think you might have understood it, you enjoyed it. We will come with a new topic in the next session. Thank you for the patient listening. Thank you very much.